Hello, everyone. My name is Jon Brenneman, and I am the president here at MOAA Vacations. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We are taping this presentation, so either this evening or tomorrow morning, you will receive a copy of this presentation. Before we get started, I wanted to talk just a little bit about MOAA Vacations, who we are and what we do. Just four real quick points we always like to touch base on. There were some people who signed up who haven't booked with us in the past, so we really want to highlight what makes us unique. And the number one thing is the level of superior service we provide. We are and continue to be the only travel agency in the country that provides travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. And that means is simply what it says. If you have any issue before or during your trip, you contact us and we will resolve that to your satisfaction. We do guarantee the lowest price. In fact, with our MOAA free amenity program, we actually do better than the lowest price. So the free amenity program is just when we go to a vendor, and today we're talking Uniworld, so we use them as example. We go to Uniworld and we ask them to provide an additional amenity for MOAA members in recognition of your past and your continued service. With Uniworld, that is a minimum of $200 per cruise or $100 per person. That would apply to all Uniworld sailings, all departures, all ships for all the destinations they go to. And I know Nicole in a little bit will talk a little bit about all the places that Uniworld goes to, so I won't belabor that point. And then the last thing is the opportunity to travel with your fellow MOAA members from not only your local city or your local chapter from across the country. And that's kind of what we're talking about today when we're talking about Venice and the jewels of Veneto. So real quick, did a slide on the signature groups, kind of what makes them unique. And when I talk about the signature groups, the terminology I always like to use is it's a group on steroids. So it provides all of the benefits, the camaraderie, the additional savings, those types of things that you get on any of the hundreds of groups that we have available for MOAA members, and it has a lot more. And the first thing we always like to talk about is the fact that MOAA leadership and staff will be on board. They are there to ensure that you have a stress-free vacation. They are all inclusive. I'll talk about that in a second. We do exclusive onboard events and excursions to the best of our ability to tailor the group to the membership. On all of the signature groups, be them cruise or land tours, we always do a welcome reception and a farewell reception. It's an opportunity to meet all of the other members that you're going to share and spend time with during the week. I talked about the satisfaction guarantee, the lowest price, the MOAA exclusive amenities, and then the group departures in the previous slide. And we want to be clear about this, that everything that we provide is provided to MOAA members and any family or friends that travel with you. So if you have friends or family that would like to go along with you on the Venice cruise or any other trips that we provide, you're more than welcome to invite them along. Since they are traveling with a MOAA member, they would receive our service, our lowest price, but they'd also receive those MOAA amenities. So if you have friends that contacted Uniworld, they would not get that $200 onboard credit, whereas if they went with you, they would. And then the final thing on the previous slide, you don't need to go back, Nicole, is just the fact that they are rare opportunities. We only do a couple of these a year, actually 24. We're actually doing 3 of them, but typically we only do a couple of them a year. So it is a rare opportunity. And Nicole's kind of going to go through the actual itinerary on a day-to-day basis. So once again, I'm going to leave that for her, but I did want to talk about the all-exclusiveness of the signature groups. And this is specific to this cruise, but this would apply really to any of the other signature groups that we have going next year. And what we like to set these up as is so you could get on the ship. And first thing is it includes transfers. So once your flight lands, in this case, probably in Venice, once your flight lands, they will transfer you to the ship. But as soon as you're picked up at the airport, your vacation has begun. And we design it so you would not need to spend a penny during the entire trip unless you want it. And I think it's sometimes easier, instead of just kind of read through this list of everything that's included, to kind of talk about what's not included. And so the first thing we get to is you'll see that it has unlimited beverages. There are some exceptions to that. Wine is served throughout the day at meals, at the cocktail parties, etc., in the lounge. If you want bottled wine, there is an additional charge for that. The same thing with the spirits. There are some what they would call ultra premium beverages. The example I always like to use is if you're a Scotch drinker, they have Jim Beam. You can get red, you can get black. It's included. If you wanted something like a blue, there would be an additional charge for that. Excursions are included every day. I know Nicole will talk about this, but there are multiple excursions. Sometimes you'll have an option. Sometimes it'll be both a morning and afternoon excursion. But they do have what they call masterpiece collection excursions. These are kind of more niche interests, not maybe limited availability. There is an additional charge for those. We always want to make it clear that if you do a masterpiece collection excursion, you're going to need to miss one of the included excursions. So it's literally set up that you don't need to do these unless you want to. And then finally, where we see most people end up spending their onboard credit, because you do receive the onboard credit, is there's a gift shop that allows you to purchase anything from logo merchandise like that, Uniworld sweatshirt you've always wanted, to actually nicer things, bracelets, earrings, watches, and those types of things. And one other thing while we're here, I want to mention is, I know I mentioned that we do a $200 onboard credit on all Uniworld cruises. That is a minimum. On signature groups such as Venice and Veneto, it's actually $300 per stateroom, $150 per person. So you'll have $300 that you can spend however you'd like. You can spend it on bottled wine. You can spend it, on that premium spirit or that ultra premium spirit. You can, do one of those masterpiece collection shore excursions. You have the gift shop and all of that you can spend that money on. And so that's kind of how the cruises are set up. One other thing I always like to talk about is there's 60,000 plus surviving spouses or single members in MOAA. And so we often get questions about singles and what the single rate is and those types of things. So we kind of have a single share program. And all this really is on our end is an introduction. We have, in particular with the signature groups, where we have the entire ship and we're going to have a large number of people going, this works really well. But basically, if you're a single woman or a single man and you're looking to go and you're looking for someone to share that accommodation with you, we just share with you each other's phone numbers or email addresses or whatever you'd like to do. And then you can decide whether or not you want to travel together. We've had great success with this. We've had a couple of women in a couple of cases that we paired up way back at the first signature group back in 2019 that have continued to travel together year after year. So if you are a single and you're interested in this, when you call us and you talk or you email and you talk to one of our cruise consultants, just let them know. And then as other single men and women contact us, we can pair you up. Just something we provide to make it economical for singles to travel with us. So I know that's pretty quick, but we have a lot to cover today. So I just wanted to touch base real quick on who MOAA Vacations is and what the signature groups comprise and what we can offer. I'd like to now turn it over. This is actually a very signature group. And to talk more about that and the great work that they do at MOAA Charities, I'm very proud that we're joined today by Colonel O'Brien. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Colonel O'Brien, who's going to talk to us for a little bit about MOAA Charities and the special kind of arrangement we have on this Venice and Veneto cruise. So, Jim, take it away.
John, thanks so much. It's really a pleasure to be here today. And I thought before I talked about the MOAA Charities, I'd just talk a little bit about me as a traveler. And like many that probably are listening or watching, I've served a typical military career, served overseas in Japan a couple times, Germany, Turkey, stationed in Hawaii. We've been all throughout Europe and Asia. And I would say, generally speaking, as a typical military person, we've been pretty frugal on our travel and always, watched what we've spent and so forth and so on. I have to say that the best, by far, vacation that I've ever been on was through a MOAA vacation and through Uniworld on the 75th anniversary to Normandy. All the things John's talking about, it's not a gimmick. It's really, everything is a concierge type service, quality ingredients of the food. We really had the time of our lives. And with that as a backdrop, I just don't think you can go wrong with a trip like this. We're not millionaires, but we felt like millionaires when we were on that trip. We really, really did. And that goes a lot to what MOAA Travel does. And of course, the incredible staff at Uniworld. It's really, I really encourage you to check it out. To start with, for this cruise, and we're really pleased to announce that our current chairman of our foundation, General Tom Waldhauser, who is a Marine Corps retired 4-star, will be in 2024 will be becoming the chairman of MOAA as a whole, and he will be setting sail on this trip to Italy. So pretty exciting. He's a fascinating guy and going to be a real opportunity to meet with him and talk more about what we're doing at MOAA from a broader sense. Specifically on the cruise to Venice, what a unique place to get to go, and the history there and the magic really of Italy in general, coupled with the fact, and I should have mentioned this with my prior experience on the Uniworld cruise, it's not just the service and the food and locations, it's the fact that you're traveling with people that have served like you have, or people that are familiar with the military community. There's such a bond. You can meet someone for the first time, and at that first cocktail party, you felt like you've been together for 20 years. And so that's really the special thing about this cruise, coming together, and everyone is with the mind of supporting the uniformed services community. So that's an exciting opportunity. The really unique part about this, and credit to MOAA Vacations, is the proceeds from this trip are being donated to the MOAA Charities. So that's basically the profit that normally MOAA Vacation would make would go towards the MOAA Scholarship Fund and the MOAA Foundation. And I'll talk more about those in a minute. But so you worry, before I get ahead of myself, this isn't driving the cost up of your trip or your travel. This is essentially coming out of the proceeds that John has outlined as part of this package. So it's really a generous move. And John, we really appreciate this, because as I'm about to say, both our charities are doing incredibly impactful work. Our scholarship fund has been in existence for 75 years and helped literally thousands of children, military children, over that time, and really, really doing impactful work. The foundation has been around for less time, for about 5 years, and there's a wide variety of programs that it's impacting for the military community. Probably the signature is our crisis relief program. And so right now we've really been working to get that up to speed to make a bigger and bigger impact. Think of the fires that just happened that are going on in Maui. Think of some of the storms we're coming up on, hurricane season and so forth, that people are going to be impacted by. And what we found in the foundation is there's lots of organizations that support people that are serving in the military or retired from the military, but veterans who maybe served a 4 or 5 year term, they don't really have anywhere to turn. So this Foundation Crisis Relief Fund is there for them, and we're making a big difference with families. Most of these crises linked directly to a FEMA declared emergency, and we're making a big difference with that. So you can tell I'm obviously very passionate about our charities, and when I do the quick math in my head, I can realize the more people we get on this cruise, the more we're going to raise for our charities. So we're really hoping that we can sell the cruise out, and I can guarantee that you'll have a great experience. Before you get nervous that we're going to just be pitching you the whole time, try to get in your pocketbook during this cruise, we love talking about the MOAA Charities, but that's not the intent of the experience. We'll be available to you if you decide to join us. We'll be happy to talk to you about what we're doing, but the idea is not to inundate you with requests for funds. Just you participating on this cruise will raise some funds for our charities, and that's really the impact that will make a big difference. If you do have questions about our charities and what we're doing, or have more interest, please let us know. We'll drop the link in the chat in terms of how to reach us, and we're helpful. We'll help in any way to answer any questions. I hope, John, generally that this is kind of helpful to everybody, and I hope everybody's going to sail with us in September of 2024.
Yeah. Just to touch on a couple of things that I didn't mention before that I should. Jim talked about how great the signature group he went on. They are always the highest rated trips that we do. As I mentioned, we do maybe two a year. We're doing 3 next year, but people just love them. I mean, it is so true what he said. I mean, the term I've used in the past is everyone you meet on one of these MOAA groups is just a friend you've never met before. The instantaneousness of the bonding for the people that go is just amazing. So, and it's going to be a great itinerary to experience with other people. And then just to reinforce what Jim said about the pricing, when we send the video, I'll include a link to the website. If you haven't been there before, we have a website set up specifically for this group. You will see that you will save between $400 and $900 per person, depending on the room you select. So not only is there not an additional cost, we actually are saving you money on this trip. You have the $300 onboard credit, so it's a phenomenal deal, and it's an opportunity to do some good. So thank you, Jim. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole. While Nicole is talking, there is a Q&A at the bottom of your screen, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them while Nicole's talking. I will be answering those questions during Nicole's presentation. If it's something that I think everyone will be interested in, I may answer it briefly online, and then Nicole and I will talk about it, because we'll do a Q&A, answer all your questions once Nicole's done. So without any further ado, Nicole, we'd love to hear more about Uniworld, and we'd love to hear more about this amazing Venice and Veneto.
Okay, thanks, John. Thanks so much. Thank you, Colonel O'Brien. We're excited to have MOAA with us next year on several different cruises, and I'm really excited that you guys have chosen our Italy itinerary. It really is extraordinary. I've been with Uniworld for 10 years now, and one of my favorite sailings was Italy. And I don't say that about every cruise, trust me, but it really was such a different cruise than perhaps just going on the Danube or the Rhine. This was really just kind of a wow of a trip for myself, my husband, and some friends. So I'm excited to share with you our journey that we had. So let's talk Uniworld. We actually are a company that has been in business for many years. We're part of the Travel Corporation, which is celebrated 102-year anniversary this year. And we are locally owned in California, family owned and operated, and have part of a much larger umbrella of brands of about 30 around the world. So we're quite large. Our whole concept is really making your experience, your journey, just as extraordinary as the destination. And we really do that in Italy, like we do anywhere that we go. Uniworld is all throughout Europe. We have some wonderful exotic destinations. We've got Peru and Machu Picchu that we do. We have India. We have got Egypt. I just returned from Egypt in May. 2 ships there, which was fabulous. We are doing the Douro River in Spain and Portugal. We're doing Vietnam and Cambodia. And we even have cruise and rail itineraries that we do. So you can pair a cruise vacation with us with a rail journey, perhaps to the castles of Transylvania, and many other itineraries to choose from. But MOAA has chosen some really exclusive tours for next year, to include Paris and Normandy for the anniversary, to include a holiday markets, and then of course this Italy itinerary that we're going to talk about. So why Uniworld? I loved Colonel O'Brien's comments about sailing with us during the 75th anniversary. We are the most all-inclusive, as Jim kind of pointed out. We have outstanding service, and I'll talk about that. Our one-of-a-kind award-winning ships, our wonderful, delicious farm-to-table cuisine, and then, of course, different tours for you to choose from, because not everybody wants to go on the same tour every day. So what does all-inclusive look like for us? It's actually really, Jim touched on it, of what's not included is an easier comment to make. So as he mentioned, all of your beverages are included with us 24/7. And that does mean your lattes in the morning, your cappuccinos. If you want to have a mimosa with breakfast, you certainly can. Your sodas, your teas, etc. Your regional beers are included. So we try to bring in beers that are local for that region. We also have got wines that we bring in that are local to that region also. Our fine dining. Dining is like dining at a 5-star restaurant every single night. It's not stuffy in any way. You can come dressed as you are, or you can dress up if you'd like. It's your vacation. Airport transfers are included, and so that's on day of embarkation and day of debarkation. So if you come in early and don't do one of our pre-tours with us, then our transfers aren't included. It's only on day of embarkation and debarkation. All tipping to everybody on board the ship is included with us. You will get several choices of tours per day to choose from. Not everybody wants to do the exact same thing. Wi-Fi is included throughout the ship and also in your stateroom. Wellness, you can stay as fit as you'd like. I'm sure many of you still like to do those push-ups and things that you did in camp. But we've got bicycles, we've got yoga classes, you can take it down a notch. We've got all kinds of things to just keep you active as much as you'd like on your vacation. We do have onboard entertainment that we will bring on board the ship. So in the evenings, we don't go to bed right after dinner. Everybody makes it up to the lounge, and we keep you going to the wee hours of the night if you'd like. We also bring on guest lecturers. So that's really quite nice to have somebody who is very informed on what we're going to see the next day. And that's really one of our pluses, is having those guest lecturers on with us. And then for our guests who are booked in a suite, we have in-suite butler service. And these butlers will do and help you in any way that they possibly can. They are butlers that have gone through the same training program as Buckingham Palace butlers. And they really are there for just our guests who are in suites. And then, of course, we've got our in-room pampering, our robes, our slippers, our Esprit bath products, our wonderful beds that I'll talk about in a minute. Our ships are one-of-a-kind award-winning ships. And what is nice about Uniworld is we build our ships to look like the region in which we're sailing in. So for this particular cruise, we're in Italy. So we look Italian. We've got Murano glass. We have Italian artwork. You feel like you're in the destination even when you're back on the ship. And I think that's really important. Nobody wants to stay on a Marriott ship. We really want to elevate your experience. You've earned this vacation, and we're going to make it as glamorous as we possibly can for you. As I mentioned, our service really sets us apart. Our employees, and they are employees, have been with us for years. And that's really nice because they come back year after year knowing their job. We invest in them and their careers and getting them into manager roles. And so it's really nice. We also have our staff who is from the area in which we're sailing in. So you can ask them questions on history. They get to know you morning too. They know what you like to drink, if you like cream in your coffee, or if you like, in the evenings, if you like a glass of wine before heading off to dinner. So it's really quite nice because they do want to invest in your vacation. And I think the one thing I hear of daily in my job is our staff on board, that they really went above and beyond. And it is like staying at a 5-star hotel because these people care and are really trained and invested in making your vacation a trip of a lifetime. As I mentioned, your meals are included with us, and it really is farm to table, nothing frozen, everything fresh. And our owner, Mrs. Tolman, is a chef, and we have her work with our chefs on board our ships to make sure that the itinerary matches what we're serving in the dining room. And so in Italy, we might get some pasta, some pizza, some wonderful Italian food. This will be some of the best food you've had along the way. We'll have other options also for you. If you're a steak and potato kind of person, we've got that. But we also do just want you to make you feel like you're in Italy on this particular itinerary. We can help with any kind of dietary needs. So if you're gluten-free, if you're low sodium, we definitely can assist with that. We do ask you to tell your advisor at MOAA Vacations so that we can get our chef prepared for when you get on board. Our breakfast and our lunch are over-the-top buffets, and so you'll really enjoy those, especially the dessert table that's usually there in Italy, and you won't go hungry on this cruise, trust me. We do have our endless pours, and Jon mentioned it at the very beginning. We've got Johnny Walker Black Label, but if you want Blue Label, we can go ahead and do that for an additional charge. But you'll see here, this is top shelf premium liquors, your Grey Goose, your Bombay Sapphire, your Remy Martin. Again, we're bringing on those local wines from the Venice area. And I think that that's really important, just because you don't want to be drinking a California wine while you're in Italy. So we try to make things from top to bottom, your whole experience with us, to seem like you're in that destination, that you're staying at a local boutique hotel, and that you haven't left, even though you've gotten onto your ship and your ship has sailed away. We do also do a great thing of making sure that we keep our groups down to smaller guests per local guide. So all of our guides are local. They are English speaking, but they're usually from that region that day where we're at. And I think that that's really important, because they're people who will answer questions and give you direction or walk you through history. And what is also really nice, by keeping our guests down to fewer guests per local guide, you can ask the questions and take the photos and get in and really delve into what you're seeing and doing in that particular stop for that day. And what is also really nice that Uniworld does exceptionally well is we make sure that you bypass lines, that you aren't spending your vacation waiting in a line to get into the Basilica or where St. Mark's or Doge's Palace, that we've gone ahead and gotten you in there oftentimes privately. And if we can't get you in privately, we're bypassing all the lines. So I think that's really great, because your vacation is meant to step out and see the world and not wait in line. So MOAA has chosen Italy for September 8th to the 15th in 2024. It's an excellent itinerary. I absolutely love this itinerary. I did it I was thinking back, probably in 2018 is the last time I've done it. So I need to get back out there and do it. But this is a great picture of everything that you're going to see. And what I think people miss when they go to Venice, they often do it on an ocean liner, one of those big mega ships that holds 5,000 people. Those ships can no longer get into Venice. So we are actually the only ones who can get into Venice and take our guests right into the Venice area. Those ships now are quite a distance out of Venice. And that means you can step off of our ship and go right into Venice. You'll be right there at St. Mark's Basilica. And that's really quite neat. And it's also made it so that there's not so much traffic going by in this whole area of the lagoon. And I think that that's really neat, because I remember being there in 2018 and this massive passenger ship of 5,000 strolled right up against our ship. And I thought, wow, where are all these 5,000 people going? And so people usually visit Venice on an ocean ship. And what is neat about this is we've got just about 130 guests on this ship. And so you can get in and see the region of Venice, and the ship moves every single day. And so that's really important to remember, that we are moving every day. We're not just staying in Venice. And oftentimes those ocean ships are just there for one day, but you guys are going to see the region of Venice. And there's so much more to see than just that one little stop near Rialto Bridge. And I'm going to show that to you today in our presentation. So we are off on the SS La Venezia, and this is a ship that was transformed in 2020. She was supposed to go into the waters, completely remodeled. We went in and touched every single space of her, to include all the suites, the lounges, the private dining, the restaurants, the top deck, all of that. And she, as I mentioned earlier, our ships look like the destination. So you see the masks there hanging on the wall on the left-hand side. We've got some beautiful artwork in our suites that Mrs. Tolman has shared with our suite guests, and it really is very sophisticated, this ship. We've got a lovely chef's table that you see there, where you could do some classes on cooking with our chef. You could do some wine tasting. There's quite a lot of things that we do in that one little area. We do have 126 guests, 42 staff, so really high staff to guest ratio. You see here we only have 2 grand suites. We have 4 of our regular suites, French balconies, and deluxe that we are offering on this cruise. So this is a nice schematic of the ship. It is essentially 3 levels. The top level is our deck, where you can sit up and watch the world go by as we sail past the Isles of Venice. And then you go down into our Murano deck, where we have got our front desk, we've got our lounge, we've got a bistro, we've got our restaurant, Rialto there. The next level, we've got a fitness center. We do have a spa for your enjoyment. And then we also have our little gift shop. And John mentioned earlier your shipboard credit. You can also use that for spa appointments if you'd like. There is a guest laundry on board this ship for you to use complimentary, or you could send it with our staff through your housekeeper, and they'll do a minimal charge for that. There is also an elevator that moves between the 3 floors, but does not go up to the top deck. However, we do have a staircase with the little sit-on chair that will move you up to the top deck. So here we have got our wonderful grand suite. This is 302 square feet with the French balcony. Our suites, as I mentioned earlier, they do come with a butler. They also come with fresh flowers and fruit. Our handcrafted Savoir beds of England is like sleeping on a cloud. I love when I get to go on a cruise, because I know I'm going to finally get some good sleep. Of course, we have closets in there. This particular suite is quite large, with the sitting area, the chair. It's got a separate bedroom area, as you can see there, with the sliding glass. It's got the Nespresso coffee machine, teas, a fully stocked mini bar in it if you'd like, wine bottle upon arrival, free laundry service, and shoe shine for our suite guests. So this is a rather large stateroom suite for you at 302 square feet. We have another one, which is our luxury Riverview suite at 214 square feet. So it doesn't have that separate sitting area. It's kind of combined here. And that's okay. It's still quite large. Again, all of the same amenities as our grand suite that we would have there, the bath products, the plush towels, towel warmer in all of our cabins, and heated floors, which is fabulous first thing in the morning. And of course, we have bathrobes and slippers. So there's lots to pamper you with. We also have a river view stateroom. So this is 151 square feet. And this is a French balcony. And so you see that you have your television there, so you can pull up movies. You can watch local TV. We've got some international US channels that also come up. And you can also get online and check your email, etc. In your stateroom. And then we also have a Riverview stateroom, and this is 151 square feet. The difference between this one and the one I just showed you, it doesn't have the French balcony. So this is a window that you cannot open. It doesn't slide or slide up or to the right or left. And so it's a standard window there versus your French balcony. So that's kind of the difference between the room categories that we're selling on this cruise. This itinerary, Venice and the Jewels of Veneto, is Venice round trip. It is 8 days. We're doing 7 nights of cruising, 20 meals, some of the best eating you will ever have, 6 days of excursions, and then you're going to visit 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So here's a nice little glance of the day-to-day where we're going to be. So we actually are going to be moving, as I mentioned at the very beginning. Every day we're moving, so the ship is not staying. We show on this itinerary that we're back in Venice. You see Venice here a couple of days. That's because of embarkation and debarkation days. And I will say this picture to the left was just the picture I left Venice with in 2018 is the gondoliers and going out on a boat ride as they sang to us as we enjoyed the lagoon area. So day 1, let's take a look at the itinerary. You're going to arrive into Marco Polo International Airport, and this is where we will meet you at the airport and transfer you and your luggage to the ship. You can get on board, unpack, relax, come down if you've arrived very early, which many people from the US do. Then you can have breakfast in our restaurant. You can go up to our lounge and fall asleep. But I tell people, get off the ship. You know, you can't get into your cabins until later in the afternoon because we will have had guests get off that morning. So get off the ship and walk around. And the really neat thing about Venice, right where we're docked, is you can't get lost. All things kind of go back to the same area. So go out, take every turn you possibly can. This is the area of walking. You're in a great area. There are no cars, there's no motorcycles. It's all walking. So don't fall asleep for too long because you won't be able to sleep that night. But this first day is a very casual day. We don't do our welcome dinner this night because people go to bed early. So that's just what we've learned in this industry. Day 2, in the morning, we're going to arrive at Doge's Palace. And this palace is amazing. The gilded golden ceilings and the artwork are just captivating. And it's an amazing estate. We go ahead and visit it without the crowds. And I think that's really important because I've known that Doge's Palace, you can get in line and be there for most of the day. We've gone in separately, just Uniworld, and you're there enjoying the Doge's Palace on your own in total peace. We will then stroll through a Venetian neighborhood and experience the daily life of a Venetian resident in that quarter. And we'll stop and ask them questions. They might have some little treats for us to try. So there's lots of kind of meeting the locals, if you will. And Uniworld's really good about that because we can show you the palaces or the basilicas or the museums or whatever. But I often get back from a trip and I'm like, my experience that I remember often is the people that I met, right? The people that live there that really bring it to life for me. After our day of being in this area, We'll get back on board, have dinner, and after dinner, we do this after hours, private, once in a lifetime experience at St. Mark's Basilica. And this is probably the one thing I remember about Venice proper is going to St. Mark's Basilica, just Uniworld guests. So remember, 127 guests. So it's just us. There's no crowds. There's no lines you have to wait in. We go right in at night. It's only us in the Basilica. We go in, we meet our local guide, who then takes us in, and we sit down and all the lights are lowered and the lights lightly come up very slowly, and music is playing, and you see the beautiful basilica and its grandeur. The wonderful things that we see with the basilica is also the catacombs. So you can go down and visit the catacombs, or you can go and see the jewels of the basilica. And the jewels of the basilica, I was shocked when they showed it to us, because they only show it to the public on Easter and Christmas. And so Uniworld guests do get to see the jewels of the basilica. So that was really quite a night. Again, this is after dinner, and it's a must. I can't imagine anybody staying on the ship and not going to St. Mark's Basilica for this private tour. Day 3, we start off our day in 2 of the Veneto regions, UNESCO World Heritage Sites, cities of Vicenza and Padua. In Padua, we do a walking tour. So we do a lot of walking tours in this itinerary so that you can learn the history again. But one of our optional tours for you to do is go and do the choice of the Vicenza Teatro Olimpico. And the Teatro Olimpico is the first indoor theater. It's made of wood, of stucco, plaster. In 1585, it's still standing. They take very good care of it. And this was used for theater productions and music productions, and so musical productions. And so it's a really neat optional choice for you to do with us. And you can, during that Venice walk, you can go off and meet with a gondola artisan and visit and see about gondola making. So this particular night, so we're in day 3, this is the night where we go ahead and do our captain's welcome dinner. Day 4. So this is a day where we're going to explore the northern lagoon of Venice and its islands. Torcello, which is the first settlement in the Venetian lagoon, was once the greatest, most populous city in the lagoon. It's now only a handful of people that live there. So it seems very remote almost. And it is the centerpiece is still standing, and that's the Basilica of Santa Maria Assunta. And I have got some wonderful photos of being in this area of Torcello. I thought it was wonderful. It was a great way to just kind of stroll through what again was the most populous of cities in this region. We also have an option for glass blowing in Murano. And I think that this is a must to just walk through, even if you don't purchase, to walk through this amazing glass blowing shop. There are chandeliers you can buy that are Murano glass. There are jewelry. I bought some jewelry there that I wear often. There's perfume bottles. There's there's candles, all kinds of stuff that you can buy in this particular Murano glass. And there's a workshop, and there's very few of those still around that are doing it the traditional way of humans doing the glass blowing. And so we sit with them, we learn about the artistry of that. And I think it's really a must for you to go and pick out a piece of jewelry if you'd like to give to somebody. And in Burano is this beautiful island of all these wonderfully bright houses. And it used to be a fisherman's island. And each fisherman would paint their home a bright color. So at night, when they were getting back and they've dropped their fish, they get back and they know where to take their boat to their house. Because when you're at night, you know, you might not be able to figure out which house is yours. And so they can figure it out with, I'm talking bright pink, bright yellow, bright orange colors, and they've kept it this way. Verano is also very known for its lace making and wonderful shopping and little restaurants. And we overnight actually in Verano now. We didn't when I went in 2018. I think it's the best change we've made to this itinerary. Chioggia. Chioggia, I smile when I see this picture because it's like a mini Venice, and that you have the little boats on the canal there. You've got the mini Rialto Bridge, if you will. All these bridges are plentiful. There's shopping, there's restaurants. We did the Let's Go Biking Chioggia tour. If you have not been on a bike, please don't make this your first time getting on a bike. Don't ever do that on vacation. Work up to it at home. This was not a difficult bike ride at all. I was able to do it, but it was just lovely to get the activity of biking and seeing the island of Chioggia. We also do a Noble Country Villa visit and taste their wines with them. There's a market visit that you can go to. So they've got this wonderful market. All the locals go there on the day we're there. And so it's a bustling city, if you will. So we really enjoyed this. And then we've got probably my favorite of the days is sailing past the islands of the Po Delta. And so we get into our ship. Everybody seems to go up on the top deck, which is really where you should be. Grab a glass of wine, get a chair, and sit there. And we go past this whole region of the Po Delta and the Po River, where the Adriatic Sea meets. And because you're up on the top deck, you're kind of looking down into these beautiful aisles and these wonderful buildings and stuff. And it's just a memory that you won't ever forget this particular day. We do get back into Venice at the end of this day, and there are some other tours to choose from. There's the Jewish ghetto visit, or there's a visit to a palace, which became a resort for the Habsburg dynasty before they went back to Central Europe. So there are some options, but for the most part, this day is just a sailing day, and I think it's just mesmerizing this particular day. Day 7, we are back in Venice, and think of George Clooney and Amal on their wedding, right? We think of the really neat water taxis made of wood, and we get you in one of those as we get you into the Grand Canal and then over to that Rialto Bridge area. And so you're arriving in style for sure. And you'll remember that itinerary, that particular experience also. As you arrive into Rialto Bridge. You do have a walking tour for you to choose from. You can go off and meet with a gondolier again, and you can choose to do an optional tour where you actually are like this couple here in the gondola, going through all the different canals and stuff as we're in this area of Venice. It really is an exceptional day. There's also the famous masks of the carnival are made here, and we can take you off and meet with a mask maker, and you can see all the various masks that they produce. It's really an exceptional day, and this is the night of our farewell dinner, is day 7. We already are at the end of our vacation. As day 8, we disembark back to the airport, or if you have chosen to extend your vacation and go somewhere else, we can get you to the airport, and you can extend your vacation however you like. But this is where we say farewell, and thank you for joining us on this particular sailing. I have to say, it's an experience that at the very beginning I mentioned that people just come to Venice for a day off of the big ocean liners, and we're there really delving into the region of Venice, and it's amazing. It's an amazing trip. I know that, John, there is still some space available. You want to step back in and we can answer any kind of questions or talk about additional itinerary subject matter.
There was only one question, and it was actually more of an individual kind of question on sound. But you know, one of the things we probably have some people who've not been on a river cruise before, and I just wanted to reemphasize something I've talked about in previous webinars when we talk about that, and that's the difference between like a river cruise such as Uniworld and those ocean cruises. And really it comes through an embarkation. And if you remember back to when I was talking to the very beginning, I mentioned the thing that we like to think or like to share, that your vacation begins as soon as you arrive. You're picked up at the airport, you're brought to the ship, and I'm sure if you've been on ocean cruises before, you know how that normally happens. I just went on one this last week on Alaska, and you get there, and then it is, you know, the whole embarkation process, you know, waiting, sitting, and doing that kind of stuff. When we get to the Uniworld ship, you're going to be able to walk on as soon as you get to the pier. They will take your luggage. They are in the process of, you know, cleaning, deep cleaning all the rooms and everything. So your room may not be available. But if you get there and breakfast is being served, you're invited to come in and have breakfast. You can have lunch on board if you're there at that time. You can hang out on the ship. Your vacation has begun. This is your ship. As soon as you arrive at it, take advantage of all of the amenities that are offered. You know, Nicole mentioned, get off the ship, get around, look around your surroundings, which is another great thing to do. As I mentioned, they'll have your bags. And then when your room's available, you get back on the ship, you just go to your room and your luggage is already there. Likewise, when you're disembarking, it's the exact kind of thing. I just went through this. I can tell you that we were gray 3. We've all been that, where they tell you to go to a lounge because they want you out of your rooms. You need to vacate your staterooms, and then you sit in a public area and wait for them to call your number. Once again, completely different. They do ask you to vacate your stateroom or your suite after breakfast, but they don't kick you off the ship, for lack of a better term. If you have a later flight, you're more than welcome to stay on board. They'll watch your luggage for you. Once again, you can jump off and get those last minute souvenirs that you haven't got yet at the shops or whatever. If you're still on at lunch, you're welcome to have lunch. You can have that mimosa or the Bloody Mary that Nicole was talking about, and everything. And then when it is time to go to the airport, Uniworld will take you to the airport. It is a completely different experience. It truly is a floating city. I see we got a question, and I'll get to that in just a second. But the other thing is, it's so important that she talks about, because if you've never been on a river cruise, it's completely different. It's where these ships actually dock. You literally are city center when you walk off the ship. It's not, you know, get off the ship and take a shuttle to go into town to see something. And it's being as small as it is, it's much easier. You just walk in and off, on and off as you see fit. If you want to get up and go for a walk or a bike ride or whatever before breakfast, the ship is there. Get off, do whatever you'd like. I like to talk about the fact how, particularly an itinerary like this, they're not sailing a lot of the time. And having done some in the past, it's almost as if the ship sails during dinner, so you have some scenery. And then if they're at the next town, I remember my daughter wanted to get crepes, so we actually, and this is obviously a different itinerary, we were in France, but after dinner we were able to get off. We're right there, city center, and get some crepes. So it is a floating hotel that will cruise during dinner. So you have some unbelievable scenery of Veneto Lagoon, or the Venice Lagoon, while you're sailing. But literally, you're free to board and disembark as ever you see fit. So, Nicole, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that. I know it's something I'm very emphatic about, because I think it's just was a wonderful part of the experience. You truly are in Europe the entirety of the cruise, not just when the ship is in port.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I think the thing I love about river cruising is it's not stressful. We've taken care of everything you could possibly imagine. We do this, every week. And so we know everything about what we're doing. We know what guests like and don't like. We know what we need to change, and we've really fine-tuned it. And we just take care of everything. From the moment you arrive and we take your luggage from you at the airport, you don't have to think again, except for what you want to have to eat that night at dinner, or what wine you want to have, or what tour. And that's really so nice to get on a vacation and just know it's all taken care of.
Absolutely. Somebody asked about the date. Just a couple of reminders. It is September 8th through the 15th of 2024. We are going to take a copy. What we literally end up doing is we download the presentation from Zoom, and then we have a YouTube channel, and then we actually upload the video to YouTube. So we'll send everybody a link to that. In the email I send out with the link to the YouTube video, I will also send a link to the website we have for this cruise. So there's a lot of the information that's the same. It will actually show the deck plan. So you can see where the cabins are, which ones are available. You can pick out the stateroom you like. We are currently holding every cabin on the ship. So unless the cabin is marked as being sold, you should be able to get that cabin. The only reason that wouldn't happen is if somebody called 5-10 minutes before you and they grabbed suite 330 and that's the one you wanted. But it's up to date as of this morning, so you can see all the staterooms that are available. It shows the pricing by stateroom. It goes through the day-by-day itinerary, which Nicole just did. If you want to see it in print, it kind of goes through all the inclusions. So a lot of the stuff we went over today is on that website, but that will be included in that email you'll get tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on how quickly things can upload to YouTube. There's a lot of people uploading to YouTube, so sometimes it's slower than others. But once again, share with your friends and family. It is a great opportunity, and we'd love them to join you and all of us on this cruise. Okay, the next question is, any pre or post cruise options? I'm going to address this, and then I'll let Nicole talk about it, and she'll kind of talk about it from the Uniworld perspective. But we've been doing 2 or 3 signature groups every year since 2019. Obviously, we didn't do one in 2020. We did do one in 2021, which was a rousing success. But we've got a number of these under our belts, and I can tell you that typically 50% plus of the MOAA members, when they go on a signature group, will do a pre or a post. And they're not always going to be part of the cruise, for example. We'll just talk about the first one we did back in 2019, Paris and Normandy. We had people that were doing pre's and posts that we helped them with that were things such as a British Isle cruise on an ocean liner, or a tour of Italy on a land, one of those escorted land packages. Some people did a couple of nights pre in Paris. The point I'm trying to get to, a lot of people want to go over and just stay in a city that they were stationed at, where they have friends or family or something like that. So if you want to do a pre or post, we can help with anything you want to do. Nicole can talk about what Uniworld can offer, but I just want to make sure people understand that if you're thinking, I'm going to fly all the way over to Europe, while I'm there, I want to spend 5 days in Salzburg or Berlin or wherever it is, or if you want to do a cruise or a tour or any of that other kind of stuff, just let us know. We're here at MOAA Vacations. We're vacation experts to make your vacation the best possible vacation it can be. Nicole, you guys offer?
We do have a pre that we are doing, which is Milan, which is great. We go into Milan, you stay at a hotel with us for a couple nights pre-cruise. We have a local guide there for you. We do a couple of tours, one of them being the Last Supper. We have a special Only Uniworld guests get in to see the Last Supper, another venue that there's usually lines and stuff too, but we get in there before everybody does, and do some other tours and stuff, but there's also lots of free time. We also have a Greece extension, so you could go off and do Greece with us. I'm sorry, post usually that you could go off and do. We also have other destinations that you could do with Uniworld that are land only extensions, or if you wanted, you can come over and do a cruise with us on one of our other itineraries the week before or the week after. So you'll get a little discount for doing back-to-back cruises with that. So we do have a lot of guests who do pre or post. And certainly, as John mentioned, you don't have to do it with Uniworld. There's lots of choices out there. And sometimes the best choice is just going and seeing friends that you knew back in your military days and staying with them. So there's lots of choices.
Excellent. I'm telling you, it always shocks me the number of times that these webinars end right on time. So we
love that.
More questions. It was 3 to 4. It's 3 to 4. So I want to thank everybody for attending today. The signature groups are special in amongst themselves. The fact that this one is benefiting MOAA Charities, I think, is just an added bonus. It's sort of like when we talk about it's all inclusive, but we give you a $300 onboard credit. This is a phenomenal deal. It's a phenomenal itinerary. You have all the advantages of a signature group, you know, sailing with your fellow MOAA members, MOAA leadership and staff on board, all of those other things, and it's for a good cause. You know, we did one of these last year for the Douro River. Everyone who went had a phenomenal time. They are not kidding when they say basically that when you're on board, they're not going to be hitting you up for anything. Everyone's there on vacation just to have a good time. And I thought somebody had a question, but it was a thank you for great info. I appreciate that. Anyway, as we wrap up, I want to take a moment on behalf of MOAA, everyone at MOAA Vacations and all the members who signed up or attended today. We want to thank Nicole for taking time out of her busy schedule to spend with us. For those of you know who logged in early, you know, Nicole was here, you know, a half an hour early, but we did a run through and everything, and a lot of her time and effort goes into this. She did a phenomenal job, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Nicole, for the final word. But thank you again on behalf of all of us.
Sure. Thank you so much, John. And thanks everybody for joining us today. I hope you'll choose to sail with MOAA next year and do this wonderful opportunity. We look forward to welcoming you on board this itinerary and any other itinerary we have, and travel well, stay safe.
Bye, everyone.